It's crazy, but I really do miss the good sleep that I got in prison. I slept a lot better in prison than I do out here in the world, and I never expected that. Because I got arrested just after my 18th birthday, and at that point I hadn't slept in weeks. I was strung out on cocaine, was drinking myself to sleep when I did sleep. When I was finally arrested, I remember when they locked me in that cell, I was still full of adrenaline because they had a SWAT officer pointing an assault rifle at my chest and telling me, "I will shoot you dead, boy," and I was not ready to relax. When I finally did sleep, I crashed. I remember getting up for a meal, they dropped into a styrofoam thing on the door, and I ate, and I went back to sleep, and back to sleep. In that first block where I was around all those people, it was a dormitory, so there was no privacy, there was no way to be away, but I was still so exhausted that when nighttime came, or sometimes even in the middle of the day, I would just crash. I went to a different block, and then I went to prison, and I slowly got into this routine where, when things were open, when the doors were open, when things were happening, I was nervous. But when the door closed at the end of the day, it was almost like all that stress was then relieved. Because I walked around with this tightness or this anxiety or this armor, and when they finally locked that door at night, I was only locked in there with one other person, and it was okay. It wasn't necessarily ideal. I definitely had roommates I didn't like, but I got to the point where I would sleep really well. And then when I first went in, I kind of felt sorry for myself, and I would try to just watch TV and lay around. But there wasn't very long I could do that before I started feeling crazy. So I started packing my day. I started exercising. I started reading and stuttering and tutoring and teaching and just packing everything in. So by the time I got done, I was exhausted. They would come around for a 9 o'clock count, and I would usually go straight to sleep. And I would wake up in the middle of the night. I've recently found out that if you wake up in the middle of the night to pee consistently, it's probably because you have sleep apnea, because your brain doesn't relax enough to actually tell your body to go into paralysis mode, so you don't wake up to pee. So I would always wake up to pee in the middle of the night, but otherwise go straight to sleep, wake up, use the bathroom, go straight back to sleep. And there was a point that I got really good rest in prison. I got used to that. I would even be able to sleep in. I would get up and go to breakfast when they had it, but then I would go back and I would sleep in. And I remember getting out to the world and thinking, oh, this grand world, but I wasn't ready for it. And some of the concerns were practical. Because in prison, no one touches you in your sleep. There have been serious incidents of violence because someone touched somebody else in their sleep. Remember, one guy shook his roommate to wake him up for count, and the guy got up and was in his face when the officers came around for count, was like, "If you ever effing touch me again, I will effing kill you." Because it's the most vulnerable we are. We're already kind of powerless, we're already kind of lost, but when we are asleep in a cell with another person who may or may not have a weapon, it's a terrifying thing. And definitely some terrible things happen to people in their cells, but it was so rare because I think we all had that common fear, right? We were all in it together and we all didn't want to do to somebody else what could happen to us, I guess if that makes sense. So even people who might get into a fight or might have issues or even have a fight with their cell partner wouldn't do it while they were sleeping because they wouldn't want it to happen to them. Nobody touched me, I was able to sleep, and then I knew I was getting out, and I was getting out to be in a relationship. And that was an interesting one because it's first of all, I haven't physically been with a woman for more than an hour in the visiting room for years. How is this going to be? Is 2 decades of being alone or just hanging out with the guys going to change the way I feel? Am I going to be able to physically sleep with her? There were all sorts of questions about intimacy, and that actually is a really important conversation, but was I going to be able to sleep with another person? Because for all those years, if somebody had touched me in my sleep or when I was trying to go to sleep, it would have been the ultimate red flag, the ultimate siren going off. And I didn't know. I remember I got out that first night and Courtney and I did what we did. We spent some time together and we were laying in the bed and I couldn't sleep, but I remember she put her arm on me and I just immediately felt everything go away. The same way as the locked door in prison kind of was a signal that my body could release that tension or put down that armor. That's how it felt where she touched me. And I remember being surprised, but that's how it was. When I first got out, I would be kind of nervous and anxious still. I still wasn't sure what to do or where to go, but she would touch me in bed and I would just let go. And I started to sleep a lot better. That relationship lasted for about 1.5 years. And when it ended, I wasn't sure what to expect. And I started having casual encounters or spending the night with different people and I would still have the same pattern. I remember a number of people have told me that in the middle of my sleep, I would reach out to touch them. I'm asleep, but I'm looking for that comfort and that security of knowing that they're there. And so I think after so many years of being alone, I actually got to the point where I really wanted someone there. And I know it is hard sometimes to sleep alone. And that's one of the reasons Melody's in the window, or I would bring her here. I'm so glad that I got Melody the cat because she has been the best decision that I've made. I was worried about whether I would be able to show up for her or be consistent for her. And, I have this creature that I'm caring for. And the reality is she has adopted me. Because yes, I feed her and I give her water and give her toys. But the reality is that she takes care of me. Last night was a really good example because when I came back in, I was ready for bed. I was working until late, sitting here in the office. Came back in, went to bed, and she just like meowed and jumped up there and kind of walked around and then settled on my leg and then settled closer and then got up and went to her cat tower. But at every point, it's this like comfort. It's this connection. And she does this purr thing. She purrs really loud. Some cats are really kind of subtle. No, she is. You will hear her from across the room. And the purr is, I'm comfortable. I want to be touched. Like I want to connect. So she would come, and after she got on her cat tower, when she got off, she came and she laid on my side, and then she kind of like put her head up on me, and then she put one paw up on me. And throughout the night, she would move around a little bit, but it was comforting. It was almost like if I was sleeping with a woman that I was in a relationship with, and she shifted a little bit, and it was just that reminder that she was there. So Melody was on my side, she was down by my legs, she was wrapped around, and then at one point in the middle of the night, I remember I woke up and I couldn't sleep because, again, I don't sleep well out here in the world. And she seemed to sense that because she kind of like stirred up. She looked at me. She like came and rubbed her head by me, and I rubbed her head a little bit, and she rolled on her back. And then she crawled on my chest. She looked at me and she just laid her head down, was purring, and then strictly went to sleep. And I remember thinking like, this is her protecting me or claiming me or letting me know that like I'm safe and I'm okay. And it felt really good. I still did not sleep the best that night, but I do remember just sitting there with this cat on my chest, just kind of like soft purring. I don't know what the noises they make when they're sleeping. It's not quite purring, but something like that. And just feeling like I am the luckiest person in the world because I've been through so many things. I've had so many challenges. I've accomplished so many things, but I've also struggled and felt insecure or inadequate for so many things. And here is this creature who just loves me completely. And when I go to bed at night, wants nothing more than to be there with me, to spend time with me, to comfort me. And my hope is, I know the first 2 nights that I had her, I slept better than I have in the 4 years since I've been home. Like her being there. Because from night 1, she was with me. I was worried. They said, oh, your cat probably won't sleep with you and it'll probably, take some time and she'll run away from you and maybe hide in a closet. Nope. From day 1, she was just there. She was on my chest or she was on my side and she was letting me know that like, yep, you belong to me, you're mine, and I'm going to take care of you. And she has. And so my hope is that as I continue to kind of like calm things down, I've got a lot going on professionally, I've got a lot going on personally, and really get into better routines, that I'll be able to lay down next to Melody every night and she'll do her little purr and she'll sidle up against me and I'll be able to go to sleep because it's crazy, but I really do miss the good sleep that I got in prison. I miss being able to lay down at 9:15 and know that, yeah, I might wake up in the middle of the night to pee, but I'm not going to wake up until they call chow the next morning at 6 a.m. or they call count the next morning at 6 a.m. and sleep really well and like wake up rested and full of life. Because for years getting out here, I woke up to go to the gym at 6 a.m. or go to something. It was compulsive. It was always this rush and this I have to do and this I need to do. And I'm trying to get to the point that I can just get up when my body is ready to get up or when Melody is ready for me to get up, rather than driving out of that crazy compulsive like place of pressure. And thankfully getting the ADHD meds really helped. And I always thought getting ADHD meds because they're stimulants would not help me sleep, but it is the exact opposite. I remember maybe the second or third morning that I got them, I took them, went about some stuff, and then I went and laid on the couch and promptly took a nap. And it is one of the hardest things in the world for me to take a nap. But the ADHD meds take the crazy away from my voice. It's not like spinning in my head. I'm not going 1,000 miles an hour. I can just breathe. I can relax. Now, I know some people have taken a lot of stimulants, and I in the past have taken a lot of stimulants in a different context, and it's kept me awake, but it's this tiny amount, and it's just enough to allow my brain to quiet and allow my body to settle. And again, it's almost like it was when I was in prison, and I would have that armor on all day and that anxiety all day, and then that door would lock, and I know nobody was coming in, and I wasn't going out, and I could finally let go. It's very similar to what I feel with the meds. So it's not what I expected. I expected to be like amped up and ready to go, but instead I'm like calm and ready to go. Or if my body's tired, I'm calm and I'm ready to sleep. My quest is still to find as good a sleep out here in the world as I did in prison. But until that day, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to string it together, and I'm going to be grateful every single day for Melody the cat because she has been the best thing that has ever happened to me.